Welcome to the JoContractor Show, a podcast created by three regular Joes. The JoContractor Show is a place where trade professionals, business owners, and homeowners looking for solid advice and amusement can hear stories of great success and great failure in the turbulent and unpredictable world of construction. On the JoContractor Show, we dig deep into the realm of remodeling and construction. We chat with construction trade professionals, business owners, and homeowners alike. We support local independent contractors and those who put their trust in the hands of these capable and hardworking business owners and tradespeople. We discuss construction and home maintenance from multiple angles, and we do it with compassion, purpose, and humor. Listen as Lori, Merrick, and Sam, along with a wide variety of guests, explore topics related to construction, home ownership, small business creation, and more. A quick reminder, don't forget to send your questions to questions@JoContractorshow.com. And after you've done that, please take a moment to hit the like button, subscribe, or talk about us tomorrow morning at the local coffee shop. We appreciate feedback and critique, and it lets us know that you're out there and that you care.
All right. Hello, you two.
Hi, Merrick, Sam.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Make sure you get right in there. Merrick, what's up?
I don't know if I can't hear myself.
Well, you're not muted. What are you, number 2 here? I think you're all right. I see you in there, but go ahead.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your levels were just a little low. Oh, someone's got their phone right next to something.
2 out of the 3 of us.
Off to a good start.
Did you hear how quickly it went away to the interference?
Should we start over? I mean, that's kind of...
No, I love it.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JoContractor Show. That's 40 seconds of us really working hard to get through the first part of this. We are, today, we are also live on Facebook, which is what's killing us in a certain way, because we're trying to do a live show. We'll get this down someday and it'll be fun, but we've got more than one thing going on. Oh, and we got the dogs in the background, which is going to be great. They're not too bad. It'll be fine. But anyway, welcome to the JoContractor Show. This is supposed to be kind of a mess of a show because these are our live call-in shows. We've done a couple of them in the past. We love the question and answer call-in stuff. So we're really trying to get these rolling. They're just going to be sort of a regular segment of ours. Our interviews are fun. The construction quickies are fun. So
Super fun.
This is just
super informative.
Yeah, just a little different offering. But here we are. And so what's the point of this? Well, we want you to write in or call in or find us on Facebook. We may even try Twitter someday. They have a Twitter live thing now. We'll see what we do.
I'm sure we'll nail that because we're really nailing this one. Yeah.
We will totally crush it. We are in the process. We are getting to the point where we're ready to go full steam ahead on the app, actually. So we will be hosting an event soon.
Yep.
We are actively seeking kind of pre-seed friends and family type round of investment to kick things off. We've already put quite a bit of money into it ourselves and time and effort, but we're looking for a few partners. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, we're open to it. You can talk to us. I hope I don't get myself in trouble with the old world for even mentioning it.
I could really use it. I mean, I'm kind of trying to get my handyman company off the ground here, like this little...
I thought you meant you could use the money.
No. Well, yeah.
No, but the money isn't for us. The money is for development and business development.
I mean, would just be... Like, I don't even want to start until I have
We all keep saying that. Every day I can use it. Jeez.
We were... I mean, you were sharing job information with me the other day, and I'm like, man, would it be nice if this was all just in JoContractor? We do have... if you're ever interested in seeing it, we do have the clickable prototype and everything looks great. A lot of the design work is done. We put a lot of effort into it already. So anyway, JoContractor, this is the JoContractor Show. This is our live question and answer. But, this is all in support of our app that we are putting out eventually that will be wonderful for you small business owners. So there we go. And homeowners alike. It's going to be good for everybody. So we've got some questions?
Yeah, I got one right here from Allison out in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And she said she loves the show.
Who doesn't?
And the question is, we recently renovated the kitchen in our 1930s Cape bungalow.
Okay.
And we made our kitchen much more open, but now the acoustics aren't great, especially when the kids are joyfully running around it. Any tips?
Put some walls back up. This is common. Everybody, most people that we open up the kitchen, that happens. You can't have everything, basically.
That's funny.
You could put some rugs and hangings on the walls and
Sure.
ceilings, for acoustic stuff, just like you would a sound or music room. But this is common, especially when people have now pulled their carpet. Nobody uses carpet anymore.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you can do is have some more fabrics and rugs, maybe, or
sound deadening things. That's funny. I've not heard this one. We opened up a lot of spaces, and I never had anyone complain about it. I will say that, I think every time we opened up a space, it did dramatically change the acoustics in the house.
I have heard it a lot.
Yeah. I haven't heard of it as a complaint, I'll say that.
No, I think most people are still happy they did it.
Yeah.
But they have said it's changed the sound in the whole area.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Sam, maybe they're just not saying anything because it's too late. The wall's gone.
Yeah, there is sort of this.
Gone.
You can't fix what we all broke here, can you?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Not
Yeah.
really.
Sorry, Allison. We don't have better news for you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this is not great advice, but the gleeful, joyful utterances of children are to be loved and enjoyed. So maybe you
and
just
barking dogs
and all of it. These are just important things that happen in life. So, I think if you received a ton of benefit, maybe in the layout and how it functions, but it changed the acoustics, maybe that's just something that you kind of have to wrap your head around and live with. I would say, right?
pretty much.
Yeah. All right.
She had one other question on here too.
I like that. Yeah, let's do it because I feel like that wasn't a very satisfactory.
Okay, so here maybe we'll see how it goes on this one. We hope to add some space to our home in the coming years. How would you decide between going up a level or adding off the side? What would you look for in a contractor to hire for those projects?
Those are good questions.
Yeah, good question. Since we do this every day, people are saying, do I go up? Do I finish a basement or do I go out? And I got an easy answer on that one, for sure.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
If you have space, you go out, because dealing with old existing structures is really hard for framing and trying to get everything level and plumb again if we're starting off the side of a house. So if you've got the space, go out.
I think, that jives with what I would say too. Yeah. But like South Minneapolis,
good question, though.
No space to go out ever almost.
No.
So you have to go up.
Yeah.
So I love I've done probably 3 or 4 decaps, we call them, where you cut the top of the roof off and you build another story on top of it. And, one of the big deciding factors for me is the condition of the roof. Are you going to need to put a new roof on the house? Is there issues with the rafter system
or insulation and ice dams?
Insulation.
Yep.
You can add, that bill can actually go up pretty quick. And if you're already going to need to put $30,000 into the upper part of your house, then maybe it makes sense just to cut it off and start over.
Well, I think those are both really good points. So yes, if you have a lot that allows for it, build out. If you don't and you have to go up, there's a lot to consider. Can your existing foundation support it? Are you going to need to redo the bulk of your mechanicals because your existing mechanical systems can't support it? So, I think as much as I don't like seeing so much go into landfills and homes being redone. Sometimes when I look at what people are doing, I think, you really shouldn't have done any of this. It was time to give up on this one. It was time to let this one go. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's really not the more efficient thing to do to save the old structure if it's just completely not worth saving. So
another thing to consider when, with going up is that it's going to be very invasive. Like you're not going to be able to live there with a full decap.
Right.
Maybe with a dormer or something like that might be able to be done while you're still living in the home. But if you're really going up an entire story,
You'll live in hell.
yeah, you can't live there.
you're
It's
pretty much
impossible.
touching the whole main floor
Yeah.
too, in some way. or
We did
aspect or
have
another.
clients set up in their basement, but we're in their basement too. And it wasn't fun for anybody, but they did set up in a small space with their 2 little girls and made
That's
a little
pretty
microwave
uncomfortable.
and it wasn't fun it wasn't fun for them, but
That's, I mean, yeah,
But no, you
people
don't wanna
have to
be
make
there.
those decisions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we ever talk about like 1950s bomb shelter style basements? Like instead of going up or down, why don't you build like a 2-story underground bunker? Oh, okay. Yeah. We don't talk about those. Okay. Just curious. Merrick's got one.
Hey.
No. Yeah, I think no. I think those are kind of your 2 options out. You can redo basements and get more space, but that's not really much of a reno, really, or like an addition kind of thing. It's
and you're underground for most of them, and a lot of people don't like living underground.
just not great.
No.
You got radon issues and other
They
things you gotta worry
also,
about.
and they don't get warm,
No, they don't. They don't.
Those tube lights are the way to go, though. So you can run those fiber
Yeah.
optic tubes up to
Yeah.
your.
You like those?
Well, if you were to build down,
if you had a bunker.
yeah, if one were to have that, yes.
All right, sounds good.
She
Well,
had
those are
another-
good questions.
There's another piece onto that. What was that? And something about a contractor. She had another question on
Oh,
her.
how would you select a contractor?
would you select?
And I would say, somebody that's done it before.
Yeah.
Make sure that they've actually cut the roof off the house or put in a dormer. Or most contractors, a skilled general contractor is going to be able to go out, but I would say to go up, you're going to want to make sure.
It's a remodeling contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very hyper local too. You're just going to have to find the people local to you that do that kind of work. And
Yep.
I'd say reach out to your social networks generally, rather than like Google or Angie's List or Home Advisor, which I don't, those things are going to get you pretty biased responses. Whereas if you go to your, local communities, maybe talk to the lumber yards in your area, anywhere where people work with those trades professionals, but aren't biased toward one or the other for making money off of them or something. They're not trying to sell you something. They just give honest local recommendations. I think that'd be a good place to start.
Yeah, I've got a question here that's kind of related to
Okay.
that last one we were just chatting about. From Kelly C. out in Maple Grove. It's a multi-question. I'm going to read it all through because it ties all together. What should people pay attention to when they're comparing different construction companies for their project? There's one. What matters most and how can we get that information? Especially when they are new to the area and don't know how many people to ask or don't know many people to ask and who the reputable contractors are. We're thinking about our new cabin build up north.
Oh wow, that took a little
Yeah,
twist at the
at
end,
that
though,
last
didn't it?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
very little bit at the end
Totally.
is really different, actually.
That changes it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the like not up north. Okay. So if you're a listener and you're not from Minnesota, up north just means rural Minnesota with lakes and whatnot.
Lots of lakes.
Yep. Generally a few hours from any larger urban, kind of city. And we don't have that many large cities in Minnesota. So, Duluth, St. Cloud, Minneapolis,
St. Paul.
St. Paul, yeah. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, that one. The Twin Cities. I mean, so up north just refers to kind of, I think you could equate that to sort of any rural area in any state that isn't really close-ish to a city. So you're
Right. So you don't know who's who yet, or who to hire and where to start and who to trust, right? So
Yeah.
I guess that would be a big thing.
Yeah, so if you were closer into places that where there's a lot of choice, that's kind of a different ball game, right?
Right.
Yeah, and what would you say, Merrick?
Well, I would say that finding somebody local to the build site, it's gonna be a lot less expensive than hiring somebody in the city.
True. Very.
But then also availability is going to they might not be as available. That's kind of what we found. It's really hard to find people to work on the cabin, which is 3.5 hours north. And we can find, it's interesting because if you can find somebody to work on it, they're pretty cheap, but everybody's in really high demand.
Yep.
And the other thing is that, permitting isn't as strict outside of the city. So, and the further you get, the handier the average Joe is. So there's quite a few factors going on.
I would say that's true too. Yeah, I mean, my experience, we have land up north. My experience is that the like the resort areas, the very expensive lake frontage places like Brainerd or whatever, those places do have skilled, high quality contractors who can do work, but they are expensive.
Yep.
And then if you're out a little further, good luck. Like, it is really tough to find people to do work.
Yeah, I think that is really hard because, like you said, Merrick, sure, if you are from the cities area, they could ask somebody down here, would they work up north at their, build them a house? But it is going to be more expensive. But how do you find somebody up north? I mean, I guess you would just go to the local hardware store maybe and start asking. Mm-hmm. And then interview them and see if, I always come back, I think we all come back to this, is did you like them? Did it feel good? Because a lot of those guys up there aren't going to have a website.
No.
And they're not going to have, it's just going to be all word of mouth. So you got to find, I guess you just got to go hang out at the bar a lot.
I think it depends on what your own experience level is doing construction projects. Because if you've got a fair amount, you've been through a few remodels, you can kind of, on some level, general contract your own project, you're going to have a lot better luck pulling it off up north.
And I would say that, I would guess that generally few of the people who are listening to our show have that much experience in this themselves. So if they're asking, I mean, I do know personally of people having sort of nightmarish experiences with giving people money and people not showing up, with putting something down and being on a waiting list for 2 or 3 years for a person who's got a good reputation. I think I personally, I had a lot of clients from the cities ask me to do work on their vacation homes, not just in Minnesota, but even outside of Minnesota. And I did it. It's because I am who I am. Like, I like the adventure of doing it, but for them, it was always a lack of ability to find anyone else to do it that they could trust. So I never minded doing it. So it depends on the project, I guess. But Interesting question.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess what matters most and how can we get that information? I think we had probably touched on that enough that, finding a reputable person that you get along with.
Yeah, it always comes down to personality. Make sure that you're working with people that like you and you like them and you trust them, and things will go better that way. They're still going to run into trouble. Mm-hmm. Even the best clients have been frustrated with us at times, I'm sure. Yeah. So,
and vice versa.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's not all on us.
So true,
right.
Yep.
All right.
It's a good one.
Did you say you had another one?
I do. I got one here. It is.
Look at that Facebook Live feed. Just go crazy.
All right. When buying this is Sophie from Minneapolis. When buying windows, how do you take measurements? One question. How do you go about measuring to install a glass block window for a basement? And what should you do if there are gaps between the foundation and siding of your home? Maybe the concrete is broken up a bit at seams.
Well, I got
these
the
are-
first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is have your window distributor come out and take the measurements. Don't try to do it yourself.
Spot on.
Yeah, I agree.
Guess whose responsibility it is that these windows are the wrong size now that you measured them and you sent them over.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now they've got to fix that mistake.
Yep.
Plus, those folks generally have a lot better understanding of the building structure itself. Like, is this 4 9/16? Is this 6 7/32? Like, how they know these things, I don't know exactly, except they can look at it and say, well, this was built with this type of lumber during this era, because is it old nominal dimensions, or is it rough lumber? What are all of it, and what's the cladding? Is that shiplap? Is that chipboard? Is that, like, they know these things, and then they generally, if they're good at it, they get you the right size window. So
Yeah, I think that's good. A lot of times clients will say, well, I'm going to order the windows, but can you measure them for me? And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not taking any responsibility if you're ordering them yourself. If you want me to order them, I'll take that responsibility.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but every now and then we have, every year, there's always a couple windows in the back that we order.
Always.
They're wrong. For whatever reason, I'm like, I know, like, how can I mess this up? And it's
Yeah.
usually me, because I do most of any door and window measurements. But, it just sucks, man, when you mess it up.
Can I look through your pile of windows after this? Because
We've given them away for people to use as, like nice windows for their chicken house.
Yeah, I know.
when you can frame your own opening, then
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
A good window wrongly sized for a house looks like something you'd love until you try and find a spot for it to fit.
Right.
Then it
Yep.
just sits around forever.
And then the same thing for how do you go about measuring to install glass block windows for a basement?
I've got a little experience with glass block.
Yeah.
But I would say, first of all, you don't. You go to the glass block place and you tell them, come over and measure this and get me a glass block that
Yep.
fits in here. That's one good way.
It is a
do
good way. They all do. Most of them do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a really common service that the
Yeah.
glass block joints offer, and it takes all the trouble out of it. But I have built my own a few times using concrete too. So like they'll silicone them together usually if you're buying them in a block. But glass block comes in very specific sizes.
Increments, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got your 4-inch block, your 6-inch block,
I think it's
your
every
2-inch
2
block.
inches,
Right.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the vents. So if you want to tackle that yourself, if you take out the existing window and you prep the sides up well, and you have any experience with that type of stuff, you can actually make a really nice looking glass block window.
Yep.
I've personally done it with no experience prior to that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's something, it's more inexpensive than ordering a window.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you really don't save any money piecing together your own glass block.
No.
You're better off.
Oh, God, no.
Getting, you're going to spend a couple $100s in materials and spend 2 days of your life, or you can go spend a couple $100s and have a professional build it for you. I mean, putting it in, is pretty doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to have it made the right size.
No, that's fair. I would say only take that on if it's something you like, if you enjoy that kind of stuff. But you're right, it's not cheaper.
No, a couple of times we've done it is when it's like a curved window or something where on an interior wall to allow light to go through.
Yeah.
And how do the glass block installers build them and install them are like, no, we're not touching this one.
Right.
Yeah.
So on that last question then is, what should you do if there are gaps between foundation and siding of your home? Maybe the concrete is broken up or something over the years.
Yeah, I mean, you do see that. So I wonder if this is sort of like, where the sidewalk comes to the house, or where there's stucco, or where there's siding, like these places. If you start to see that, you need to get that stuff filled and fixed, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. It's on the exterior of your house. And you have cement patch it.
Yeah.
There's cement caulk. It depends on how big, the crack is, but you don't want to leave it for the critters and the rodents and spiders and
water and everything else to get in there. Yeah, I mean, and they make some stuff that'll span some pretty big gaps and hold for quite some time.
Yeah, it's definitely a high priority thing to do. Before you even, get to that sexy kitchen.
Oh, but the kitchen's so fun.
I don't know. I'm putting off my kitchen. I got a lot of not fun things I got to do first.
I think my wife would like it if I converted the whole first floor into a kitchen. She's really tired of our small 1950s house kitchen.
My kitchen is still on my list.
Is it?
Yeah.
I redid mine years ago. It's really nice, but it's pretty small.
Yeah. I did have another one come in.
Okay.
Can I keep going, or you got one, Merrick?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. This is from Trish. A lake home from Minnesota. A lake home we are considering on a northern Minnesota lake has an ideal lot, but we understand that it has a wood foundation. What are the risks associated with wood foundation, and what can we do about it?
Ooh, I love this question.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I like this one.
How do you guys feel about wood foundations?
Merrick, you got any thoughts on wood foundations?
No.
It sounds bad.
That's a good thought.
That's a great answer. Yeah. Lori, what do you think?
Okay, here's what I'd be scared to death. I know
of a wood foundation, really?
Yeah, I've seen them, and I know that they might work, but now that I've been in Venice, however, that whole thing was built with alder.
Yeah.
And it's in the ocean, and it got harder. So now I've really thought twice about that. And I'm like, and then the ones I've seen, haven't been a lot. We did some work on one, and it seemed fine. And it seemed like it was holding up. But it just makes me nervous.
I think that people don't give them enough credit, honestly. A wood foundation, so the one house that I've built, that was SIPs, that was structural insulated panels. Mm-hmm. And that thing was bulletproof. But that was a wood foundation. But it's the thing that you have to do if you've got a wood foundation, so obviously don't put popple underground or something like that. But if you've got a treated wood foundation, and generally speaking, wood foundations should be treated, right? But they're on footings, and you want them, if you're going to use a wood foundation, it just has to be done right. You have to make sure that it's waterproofed well. A drain tile around it is great. But once you bury that wood in a stable way, it's not going anywhere for a very long time.
Wouldn't it matter then when they built it? Did they really put drain tile, and how do you know what I mean? That's what.
This is a specific instance, okay, right? The cabin
up north. Yes, this is, right. And I'm guessing. I just sent a note and wondering what year it was built, but I'm guessing, if I had to guess, they were doing it more in the 80s, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. There have been a subset of people who always. There have been a subset who've done wood foundations over the years.
And that's a sandy, and most of it's sand up there, so it's probably good drainage, right?
And if it's 80s, you might look at that thing and say, this thing is in beautiful shape. Don't worry about it.
And you should be able to tell if you go down to the basement. Yeah. There'd be a smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I would say...
We're working through this.
I would say a well-done wood basement will stand up to any other, foundation or wood basement or, basement.
Concrete.
And a poorly done concrete or block one is not any better than, right?
Good points. Yep. Very good points.
So it's situationally dependent. It depends on the exact, features of your house, what year it was built, whether they did drain tile, whether they waterproofed it, all the other things.
Was it built on clay or sand?
Clay or sand, yep. Yeah, because sand drains well.
Right.
Lots of different factors. But no, I would not say that a wood foundation should be something that you should be afraid of, just a poorly done wood foundation. That's what I would say.
Perfect.
All right. Boy, I love these. I love the question.
Another one just came in.
All right, good.
They're all coming in right now. This is great.
Good.
Can you share some tips on things? This is from Chris in Vadnais Heights, Minnesota. Can you share some tips on things that can be done now to avoid ice dams during the winter? That's a broad question.
We have touched on ice dam. This was another big ice dam year, so I bet that's on a lot of people's minds.
Yep. This is a broad question, but what would you do right now to avoid something in the winter?
I mean, when it comes to ice dams, I have complicated thoughts on ice dams. I really do, because historically, so many of the homes that we're still living in have had ice dams throughout the years. Like, the ice damming itself it's a persistent issue, and it's not like all the houses fell down. So I'm not sure that it always needs to be addressed the way people, like if your roof's holding up and things are in good shape, then you just have some ice dams. That's just what happens. But
what about, a metal roof helps.
Yeah, sure.
There's a good one.
If you want to replace it and put a nice metal roof on
there's no cheap answer. That's the problem. What about
the heat strips?
I hate them. Well,
I think so too.
Yeah, those. You can do that. I called it a Band-Aid. If you have shingled roof, it'll dry them out, because most people forget to turn them off and on. They put them on a switch or plug them in, I should say.
Right.
And so, it's a Band-Aid, and it'll work, but it doesn't work real well, and you're just taking the warranty off of your shingles.
Right.
And a roof rake. There's your cheapest answer.
Actually, you're right. I mean, get one of those long-handled roof rakes and get out there and shovel that first bottom few feet off there. Now, I guess when people look at that, are they supposed to go higher than that or not?
For the roof?
If you're gonna shovel off your roof from the ground, how high should you go up?
You should be at least 3 feet into your house, is what I say.
Oh, past the wall.
Yeah, past the wall.
So the soffit depth plus an additional 3 feet.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's your top plate that's losing the heat at the rafter where it sits on the wall. So you want to get up a ways into the attic space. And
that's 3 feet in. So on a 45 degree on a 612 pitch or something, right? Or is that 1212? That's 1212.
Then go 4 feet.
Then you need to go up a little. Yeah. But it's funny because I have watched some of my neighbors rake their entire roof, and I think I'm not sure you need to do that.
But if it's summer, what else would you do? Maybe, this is where you do call the insulators, because nobody really thinks about it until, have a blower door test done.
Yeah.
Infrared cameras, and that's pretty cheap. And then you can have a list of items maybe that you can help. But doing it in the summer would be a good plan, because everybody thinks about it in the winter.
Lori, can people, can you do rigid foam insulation over top of a roof like you do on the walls, like you were talking about?
Yeah, super insulated roof system. Yep. It's a great way to do it, and it works. It's just expensive.
Yeah, but that doesn't involve like eliminating your existing rafters or anything like that.
Nope,
so if you've got an existing structure and you just want to add, like let's say you've been dealing with ice dam issues that are bad for years and you just want a permanent solution, a super insulated roof would be a thing to look at.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And which includes doing approximately 4 inches of rigid foam on top of your roof after you take the shingles off.
Yep, like on top of the
deck. Yep. And then making an air gap, a little air gap, but with some, we call it strapping 1x4s on top of that insulation, which helps hold it down.
I don't know why, but this is kind of like the sexy part of construction for me. You know what I mean? There's something about this, oh my God, I can just see that 4 inches of insulation sitting on top of that old roof, and the house is like, yeah. I just got an upgrade, a big upgrade. Yeah, that's real nice.
And then add some plywood and roofing, and there you go.
Yeah, that sounds like the way to go for me.
Which there's not very many roofers that do it, but we did meet that one woman. We should get her on the show at some point.
We have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What was that, True North?
True North.
Yeah, True North Roofing.
Yep.
Merrick, you got anything?
Yeah, I got one. I got Nick out in Colorado.
Oh, man.
He is asking the best ways to keep a crawl space dry.
Oh, I got some ideas. That's crawl spaces are just nasty.
Yeah, they are. No, that's where my mind went.
They're
Like,
just
ew.
like, ugh. Yeah, just avoid the crawl space at all costs, I suppose.
Seal it up.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
Just kidding. Don't do that.
The tighter you seal it,
Oh, God.
out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean,
Until the mold gets through.
Isn't ventilation isn't this what we're all thinking? Is ventilation is like the key?
It
I mean,
is.
I think having a exterior drain tile or interior drain tile.
Sure.
If possible, yep. But also, ventilation for sure, because that sealed up, that moisture coming from the ground, even if you do have plastic down, it seems to come through. You still want some ventilation in there.
They just get clammy.
Yeah.
No matter what. No matter, you know how like a sealed space like that, with the temperature changes outside and inside, you can't keep that moisture from not condensing in there unless you ventilate it.
Ventilate. The other thing, I should learn more about this, but I am learning more about it, I should say, but I haven't done it yet for anybody. But they're putting rigid foam outside 3 to 4 feet away from the foundation, just setting it and then putting dirt on top of that so that it's insulating the ground around the foundation farther out so that the frost doesn't move into the basement instantly.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And that works.
I gotta we should get Jimmy in here. That's who we should get. He just built a house in Wisconsin, and he did that. And I'm
Really?
like, Jimmy, what did you do? And I don't know if he did 4 inches of foam, and I think it was 4 feet out because that's one piece of foam.
Sure, 4 feet wide around the
Yeah.
whole thing. Well, that would be an interesting way to solve that. I mean, foam's probably not great for the world or anything, but I think it's fairly inert when it's in places.
Right.
Yeah.
Covering Mother Earth isn't always the best, but
But I sure do I like spray foam too, and
Yeah, I do too.
I would foam the heck out of a crawl space if I could.
So to keep water away, because it's going to wick water at the same time if you put a little angle on it.
Yeah.
And keep some moisture away from the foundation. I'm just learning more about this one. So
I mean, it's not a big thing here in Minnesota.
What's that?
At least
Crawl
in the
spaces?
cities, yeah. It's
No,
not really...
we have a lot more basements than we do crawl spaces, but there are a lot of crawl spaces too, and they're always gross, kind of. I think in this day and age, and I don't know anything about where the tech is at with this or whatever, but I would say that you may even be able to find like a moisture sensing device that controls a fan for your crawl space.
I've been doing this too long. I forget. We've put bath fans, more or less a bath fan.
Panasonic makes them with.
And now we've just met with Brown might want to advertise on here at some point because I met with a Brown rep this week.
Yeah.
And they have all these smart features now, and it's all about your indoor air quality, and it measures it. And you can look at your phone and see what problem you're having, and it'll automatically turn your fan on.
I think that would be like from an energy saving standpoint, because you can also put in, I would say you could put in one of those like the radon fans that are super low energy kind of and run all the time just to keep constant airflow through there. Yeah.
Yep.
But a bath fan, I mean, I know Brown probably makes them too, but I know the Panasonics. They have that really nice moisture detection stuff.
Right. And but it was interesting because the Brown was probably the first on the market, so that now they're really shitty. So you think about them whenever you think about a Brown fan. I don't know about you guys, I'm like shitty fans, right?
They do make nice ones.
But they do now. They've put a lot of technology in now, and I'm really impressed.
I think what Brown did Broan, you could buy a good Broan fan even 10, 15, 20 years ago, but the ones that you found at Home Depot, those were always the cheapest ones on the shelf, and they were like $15, and they were shit.
Yep.
But they whatever. They do make some good quality stuff. So yeah, go ahead, reach out,
a few
bro.
options there.
There's a device called an air exchanger.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And air exchanger is more for the whole house. It's expensive, so I don't know that I would do it just for a crawl space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bigger unit, right? It's kind of
overkill.
the same concept,
Yeah,
though, right? Just
it
a
is,
bigger
moving air.
version.
Yeah. And
Yeah. I like that one, though. That's a good one.
yeah.
All right, we got any more questions? We got a very anxious puppy waiting to get in the room. Merrick, you got any more?
I'm fishing for questions right now.
That's all right.
Let's see if we've got any yet. Oh,
Let's see here.
looks like
We
we have
can,
one. I get the little bubble with the dots.
Bubble dots. Someone's trying.
Okay, I've got one.
Okay.
So if you were putting in a stove vent in Minneapolis, and it says that you can only do 300 CFMs,
Yep.
but you don't like any of those and you want to do a bigger one,
1,200, baby. Blast it out of there.
what would you do? Ignore the code? Put it in, or is it dangerous?
Oh, well, I'm not a general contractor anymore, so I would ignore the code. I mean, yeah, 300 CFM is so cubic feet per minute of air volume being pushed. That's what CFM is. And it's just not a lot. It's just not. And a lot of these new ranges, they are advertised with and call for these big giant hoods above them, but code disallows you from doing that unless you also add to the house a makeup air unit,
Right.
which is like a secondary furnace that heats as much air coming in as you've got going out with the fan. But all of that seems ridiculous to me. It seems like a total waste, because the fact of the matter is I'm only turning that fan on, and I'm only turning it on high occasionally. I'm not burning stuff on my stove all the time.
Or are you?
No, I mean, and so I can crack a window in the kitchen at the same time, have cold air come in for a few minutes, turn the fan off when I'm done. That's my take on it. I think we've gone a little crazy with the...
And my take on that is that for new housing that's real tight, I get that. You add the, air exchange.
Create negative pressure in there.
Makeup air there, right? But on our houses here that are existing and we're working on them, there's enough air leakage in them. You can't really tighten up the houses, even if you wanted to, right?
Right.
So I think that rule is kind of a shitty rule.
And you can't find a 300 CFM hood.
Not a good one.
They're higher CFM, and really, it's just annoying. It's not gonna put the it's not gonna take the flame on your water heater and make it go out so that your house fills up with gas and explodes. That's just not gonna happen.
Unless it's a new house, right?
I mean, even on a new house, I mean, I get it, because we built a very tight house, but there's the code. I think this is where you just adopt international code, and this is kind of a commercial space thing more than it is. I think it's just not fully common sense.
No, I'd agree, common sense, and that's the hard part, I think, with when you're getting permits or dealing with. They do generals, so everything is, they don't see any individual circumstances, right?
Right.
So then, and then the 300 CFM fans are all the same. They look the same. They're ugly. So you're really, this is what my option is?
No client wants them.
No.
I think Vent-A-Hood and stuff, I think some of the manufacturers are, I'm going to use the word circumventing. Oh, dad jokes. I think some of the manufacturers are circumventing this issue by having a selection where you can you've got a motor and there'll be a little knob on it that says 300, 600, 1200 or whatever, right? And you're supposed to say, nope, we've set it at 300. That's a 300 CFM fan. Everybody knows the minute the inspector leaves, they're pumping that thing up to 1200.
Right.
Which I think that's my take on it would be that it's a tiny bit of overreach too on the part of the building code and the inspection. Like, I understand the safety. We don't have furnaces or water heaters that run off of a pilot anymore. So that old argument very, very infrequently in any house that probably is leaking so much air, doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So that one, I kind of look at it like, meh. And then, air, like, it's hard to create actual negative pressure in your house.
And in these old houses, for sure.
Yeah. The newer ones, I mean, you have to be pretty darn tight.
Yeah.
And I think that
and you can test. That's the thing that I would say. Then just hire somebody to test to make sure. Turn all your fans on. I used to do worst case scenario testing where we would
every fan
turn
is
on every fan, the dryer, anything that's going to throw air out, and go check your furnace and check your water heater
and see if
test
you're
it
getting
and see if there's carbon monoxide coming out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess that would be the safe bet instead of us saying, yeah, go do it.
No, you're right. This is probably bad advice.
Yeah.
I mean, but I do think some of it comes down to common sense and personal choice, and a lot of people just are not satisfied with the 300 CFM fans and the looks of them. And
yeah, but Tess, we don't want to be the ones responsible for killing the
do
the
what the
family
code
dog.
says. Do what code says.
Also,
you're right.
Don't remove your air gap from your dishwasher and put a soap thing in there. Don't do that.
Yeah, right. There's another one.
Oh man. No, there's a lot of things.
They just took that one out. I think they just
everyone,
removed it though. That one they backed away from again.
Oh,
the air gap.
Mm-hmm. Their gap.
Yeah, everyone's got to have backflow preventers all the time these days, which is fine. It's code. Yeah. Just do it.
I got one under my stairs. I'm not too happy about.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like you got to get in there.
I know. I saw that.
Hopefully my inspector's not listening right now.
I doubt it.
I got a question from Victor in South Minneapolis. He said, what is an example of a DIY project gone wrong, and how much did the project initially save the person, and what did it ultimately cost them?
Oh God, I wish I could remember specifics. I mean,
I'm
but
sure I've done this personally.
I mean, I have seen some pretty funky stuff. I'll say I can't
I think
think
a common one. I'm not thinking of an exact example other than when I go into houses and I see and they're like, I had some water damage and so they mitigated it and took 2 feet of sheetrock off all the way around, and then I look at it and I'm like, do you see the mold on the studs because it's right up against the wall? We don't build like this anymore. And then there's fiberglass in the wall too with a moisture barrier, and you're like, how do I even start? Basically you got to gut the whole basement. We got to start over. So there's a really expensive one. However, it's not really gone wrong because it was code at one point.
Which,
unfortunately,
it was. And that's the thing with code, right? Sometimes against common sense, they tell us we have to do certain things. I don't know. I've seen, I guess over the years, I would say the thing that I've seen that DIYers do that kind of costs them more money in the end maybe is perpetually kicking the can down the road by doing little bits and pieces of things here when maybe you just should have bit the bullet and replaced that bathroom. Like leaving, people who's redid, and I'm doing air quotes as I say this, remodeled their bathroom but left in the 1950s plumbing or something, some part of it that I know that was good and I know it looks good and everything, but the lifespan of it is over. It's done. And I just sometimes you see stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I guess another DIY horrible thing to do is when you run into the plumbing and electrical and they've redone it themselves at one point, and the wires are too short, you can't do anything, or the plumbing is there's no venting.
Yes.
You know, so those are the things that really, there's quite often when I walk in and I'm like, oh man, doing nothing is way better than doing something like this.
I had a client who had a house that was built in, probably 1916 or something like that. It was a big old house in Minneapolis. And the person before them had lived there 30 years plus and had done a bunch of DIY work. And they did their own electrical, and it was the most screwed up electrical I've ever seen. And they had, not only were they splicing wires up in cavities just with wire nuts, open, exposed in these spaces. But I mean, they ran things and wired things in ways that they tied into some of the old knob and tube. They ran all these new circuits off of things. It was so cut up and weird. And then these poor homeowners had an issue, and we could not, despite having 3 electricians come through, they could not find the problem. We had to cut big holes all over in the house to find where the issue was. It took forever. It was very expensive. So DIY electrical work, you better know what you're doing if you're doing electrical, or hire someone else. Get the electrician. Well worth it.
Well, just the other day, Sam and I, I was looking at, I had a little bit of sticker shock. I'm doing my basement. I used some of my, my subcontractors to get my, my plumbing and my electrical, and I'm looking at the bill and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I could just spend a couple days down here and just do this. So Sam and I get together down in the basement, and we're trying to figure it out. And we're like, oh yeah, we'll just, cut this out here and run this over here. But wait a second, how does this perk get hooked up? And then eventually we're looking at it and we're like, just spend the money. Because even though both of us are really handy and can do all of the fittings, and we can glue stuff together, and we can run wire, and we can hook up an outlet.
I'd make a great apprentice.
Right.
But not a great master electrician or plumber,
Yep. Yeah. So we were... We spent 2 hours looking at it, and eventually it was just like, just fork over the money, Merrick.
I think the right decision was made in the end.
Yeah.
It was good.
We had lunch together.
Yeah.
Perfect. How about one last question?
All right,
This one's for the professionals out there.
One more. I love it.
From Kelly. How do project managers stay sane
In today's
construction
day and age?
Do they?
I don't think they do.
No.
No.
You're not sane, Kelly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't stay sane, and I mean, how do they stay sober is the question. It's the whole thing. It's so chaotic out there still. Between supply chain stuff still.
Yep.
Just homeowner expectations, which have always been tough to deal with. I don't know, just the general state of the world.
I think just being really organized is the key. Making sure that you have.
Oh, you're going serious with it.
A good.
I get it.
Having a good filing system.
I think a good sense of humor.
No, I think a good sense of humor is right. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Being organized and being
Definitely
adaptable,
helps.
and being as proactive and upfront and straightforward as you can be when you see something that's wrong. Calling it out before it's a huge issue. Not running away from the problems. I would say.
Yeah.
So
and setting those expectations
And being able to roll with it.
yeah,
Because you got people coming from all sides, from subcontractors to the city, to inspectors, to the clients, right?
I love that your dog.
I know the dogs are busting through this door here
I
real
love
soon.
is that they are very rude.
I love that dog knows how to work a door handle too.
We have to lock doors around here.
I bet if that door pushed this way, that dog would be in here.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes. Yeah. Project managers, they're invaluable. You need to have them. And if you're a homeowner and listening to this, be nice to them. Most of them, I mean, it's a really, really tough job these days. So I don't know. That sounds about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we did it. We made it through an entire, probably more than people wanted out of an episode, but there it is.
Good info, I think.
I think so too. I really do enjoy these shows. It's a little bit more.
We hardly charge for this.
We're not charging enough, are we?
No.
Yeah. You guys should start paying for this information.
Send your Venmo information over.
Yeah. We should get a Patreon. Anyway, thank you, all 10,000 plus of you. This was another fun show, and we'll sprinkle these in from time to time, and we'll work out this whole going live thing so we can get more live questions. But
pretty live coming in on our phone.
Yeah. You guys were. I'm glad that worked out that way.
Yeah.
It's always good. So, all right. That's it.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Until next
See you guys. Thanks for listening.
I feel like Lori's supposed to tell him good luck.
I know. That's right.
Thank you so much for listening to another amazing episode of the most important show out there. Before we go, we want to thank you again for supporting us and for all the lovely things you say about us on social media. Shows like this grow with help from people like you. And remember, keep sending us your questions. We really appreciate the stories and the great insights we gain from our audience. We also want to remind you that you can buy shirts, hats, and more at JoContractorshow.com. Be good to each other, and we'll catch you on the next show.